friends, hello, welcome back. So today we're doing something we do never. I don't remember the last time we did this. It's been years if we've ever done it, which is a team update for Hut. Going to show you some team, and I'm going to show you the guys that I kind of like using, some of the guys I don't like using. The reason we usually don't do stuff like this is because I never want to send the wrong message. You know, I don't want to sound like I'm out here trying to rub it in or brag at people, but I know some people will take it that way. When you're like, oh, look at this guy just, showing off his team. That's never the objective here and stuff like this. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, maybe it helps you guys out. If there's some players you're thinking about picking up or not picking up here. There's something else I'd kind of like to pitch across here before we start this. I was thinking about maybe doing something along the lines of some form of Q&A for Hut, that is a Hut auction house Q&A or something, maybe a Hut Q&A in general, maybe some questions you guys might have about how to get coins doing, work in the market or coins in different areas of the game, maybe players you should pick up. If you guys have questions like that, put them in the comments. If we get a lot of them, we could maybe do a video on it. If that's something you guys want to see. Again, I'm listening to opinions on this, trying to get some Hut stuff involved here. I know we do a lot of franchise mode stuff lately, try to get the Hut stuff mixed in there just as often as well. Figured maybe that could be a helpful way. Maybe it's not, maybe it is, maybe at the end of the day, it's a second opinion for you guys. If you do like the opinion, you don't like the opinion, you don't have to agree with me. I always say it. I'm not always right, but it is always nice to kind of, get the thoughts of other people in there as well and things. If you're unsure of things in Hut in particular, again, like trying to make coins, trying to build that team. And the answer is 125-ish, 130. I know that's going to be a comment. How much money did you spend on your team, man? What, you put like 6 grand in the game? No, I spend money on the game day one, and then I get random pack urges, and I just spend like $20. I did that one day. I was like, oh, let's open a pack. I called it an addiction, but, we haven't done that in a while either. But I just, I'd like to bring it up. Like, yeah, it helps you at the beginning of the year if you get a lot of coins. But anything's possible. You just have to have the right mindset. I know a lot of people will say, oh, you only have a good team because you paid for it. Well, that's not true. You can really grind this game in so many different facets to get a good game or get a good team in this game. But anyway, here's our team. We have good old Elias Pettersson, Johnny Tays, and the Mew on the first line. I gotta say, this has been my favorite line. Ever since picking up Pettersson, I have absolutely loved playing these guys together. Pettersson, 16 goals, 6 assists. Guy's been an animal over there, just around a point per game. Good for him. Johnny Tays, I cannot say enough about him. He's been my favorite player. I'm just a face-offs guy, though. He's got me. He's got my heart won. He's got the face-offs. He's got the speed. He's got a very decently good shot, 99 to be exact. But that's the thing I like about Pettersson too. A lot of these guys, I'm starting to find my area of preference when it comes to Hut, and it's the bigger the quicker type guys you can find them. And I like that about the Tazes and the Petterssons. They're 6'2". Granted, Pettersson's 176. He's 6'2" though. He's fast, and in this game, bumping guys off the puck is next to impossible, specifically on Xbox, especially for the bigger guys. So if you can get those average to taller type guys, 6'2", I would call a little bit above average, around average-ish for a forward. I think those are great additions to a team. And when you get guys like Pettersson, again, he's got that 98 speed ever since picking him up. He's like the silkiest guy I've used. I love it. I love how agile Elias Pettersson is. Jonathan Tay's been a big fan of. Lemieux, he's been kind of up and down. He's been around for a while. He goes on his spurts. I think he's starting to play better with these guys. But again, he's a bigger guy, 6'4". You love the big guys. You love the guys that can shoot, I think. He's a tank out there. Nonetheless, you can use him properly there. He's a great addition. The second line, things get a little bit different here because we have Mark Messier. Messier was a guy we picked up at the beginning of the year because for some reason we ignorantly was out of the blue thought we could do a 90 overall set and trade the player for it. It was never possible. They're always untradeable. So we did that set and we hurried up and did it. And we ended up with 90 overalls, but there was Messier, there was a goalie. I forget what the other two was, but there was no Lafleur in there, which would have been the one we really wanted. So we ended up taking Messier. So he's on the team by default here, and I bring it up because he's actually done really well. 108 goals, 130 assists. Thing is, he was around a lot of the time when we did a lot of squad battles. Our first line guys, not so much, besides some of you, like the other two guys, we haven't played squad battles, offline stuff as much lately to kind of inflate the stats. But Messier's been a guy, personally for me, and maybe it's just me, where he struggles to hit the net. It seems like he misses the net more often than not for a lot of the time on my team. I feel like he's one of those guys when you look at a glaring spot on the ice where it's like, oh, there's a guy that always misses the opportunities. He seems to be that guy, and you can't afford that for a guy like Messier because he's an 88 speed. Like, he's one of those guys, if you're going to afford the 88 speed when you can pick up, we've brought it up before, Tyler Myers base cards with an 88 speed, you got to make sure he's excelling somewhere else on the ice. And I feel like the shooting, it's just not there. It's not there. He's still on the second line for us. Like I said, we're not going to just go out there and quick sell a guy that's a 90 overall. We're using him to use him. Been loving Gretzky. He's still great. He's a little bit on the shorter side, 6 foot, gets knocked off a little bit more than some of the other guys, but again, it's Gretzky. You can't complain about Gretzky. And then Guy Lafleur, another guy around that 6 foot range. Loving using Guy Lafleur as well. He's been pretty solid out there. The third line, we have not got the chance to use Jess Barry too much so far, and I put him up on the auction house last night, so it refreshed his stats. He had like 4 games played or something. So far, he's not really standing out, but he is on the third line. Nathan McKinnon's been pretty nasty. Alex Ovechkin, I've loved using as well. Ever since he picked up the speed, he's been great. We brought up the bigger guys that can shoot. Alex Ovechkin's the perfect example of that. Ever since he got that speed in the 90s, he's been really good. That slower 86 overall Ovi. He can be a little bit of a liability out there because of how slow he is, but when you get that upgraded version, even the 89, I really enjoyed the 89, which should be a lot cheaper than the 90 right now, I'd assume. He's been a great pickup. Howie Morenz, I've been up and down on him. Kind of liked him with the speed to begin with, but he's short. He's 5'9". You can't go wrong with a 95 speed. You can't go wrong with 96 shot and power, but it depends on your play style again. If you depend on being able to burn guys and you don't get knocked out the puck rarely with anybody, then he's a great player. But he is definitely one of those guys that gets knocked out the puck very easily. Even when he blows by guys, I still find him getting caught from behind and just nudges out the puck and he goes flailing everywhere. That is my biggest pet peeve with him. Again, no, I love the speed. The shortness is a concern for me. Would have definitely liked to get that was the 89, so I was trying to get the Paul Coffey. It was Paul Coffey or Morenzo, and we got one of the two, so I was happy there. Ryan Johansson is just a very biased pick right there because he's an ex-Blue Jacket. Got him on the 4th line just because of that reason. Man, he's got to start scoring some goals. He scored 2 goals in one night. I was very happy about it. I was like, good for Johansson. My fantasy cards are just allergic to goal scoring. Blake Wheeler's the same way. Seth Jones too. I think I got to sell him to help you guys out, whoever owns them, so you can get some pickups. Jesse Puljujarvi was a pack pull. We made room for him on a team, and he's got a filthy card. Let's be real here. 6'4", 97 speed. The guy's been unreal. Granted, he's played 25 games, but he's on the 4th line, 7 points. One thing I'm noticing with especially with some of these, our first line who are the Tazes and the Pedersons of the world, the guys have crazy high endurance, so they don't really get tired. We aren't using our 4th line as much as some of these guys. Like, I feel like in years past, even when you had the higher overall guys, the endurance for the first couple lines would go down. I feel like we haven't used the 4th line as much, so it is kind of hard to look at the stats and judge by that. On our defense, we have Victor Hedman and we have Kukin, and you got to go with the quick defense. We're just bringing up how important speed is and knocking guys off the puck. I've learned the combination that I've gotten into liking is a combination of speed and a combination of size on the same line. You got the one guy that can keep up and one guy that takes up a lot of space on the ice. That big body on the ice makes a big difference. Now, Hedman, we had the 86. I think the 86 card looks disgusting. I still love that's what we have with the Giudice, but we picked the 88 up, and for whatever reason, I feel like he's been getting coned lately. He's been getting coned a lot, and he's been out of position a lot, it seems like. It almost feels a little bit slower, but I don't know if it's just me crazy. Again, we haven't played enough games, 4 or 5 games or something with that. What was it exactly? It says 2 games. We played more than 2 games again. I don't know why it's not counting that probably. We played 4 or 5-ish. But he seemed like a liability out there for the first time. He's been nothing but a good cog in the ice for us. Seemed like a little bit of a liability. The second line, Drew Doughty, and then Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer been up and down on. He's getting to that 90 overall range. You can't go wrong with SP. But when he's getting to that 90 range, and there's so many other players getting close to the 90, getting over 90, it's going to kill his value. So I have been considering selling him. He's like 550 right now. It's just, how do you turn down an SP? How do you replace the SP? And he's been solid. He hasn't been like a guy you go out there and say, wow, he's been absolutely mind-boggling. You haven't heard much about him, but that's good for defense at the same time, right? You don't hear him out there. It means he's doing his job, and he's doing a good job of it. And that's kind of been the Niedermeyer case for us here. Not a big goal scorer, as you can tell. 7 goals on the season, but two on the SP. That's hard to turn down. Really, really tough on the decision of what I'm doing with that Niedermeyer. I'm thinking I'm getting there. If I can afford the SP somewhere else, I'd highly consider. Because, like I said, like Drew Doughty, for example, he's an 89. Brent Burns is up there. Victor Hedman's up there. All these current players, once they start getting 90s, it's going to start to devalue the 90s of these. So you're getting to that sweet spot where you have to start considering selling some of these 90 set players. And then on the third line, well, Drew Doughty, I did bring it up. Drew Doughty's probably, honestly, besides the big guys, he's probably been my favorite defenseman to use. He's been absolutely lights out there. Highly recommended Drew Doughty. He's an 89 overall, and he's only a couple $100K. Can't believe how cheap he is. I think he's a steal out there for the price. Lidstrom, was a player we got from the set, so that is why he's on the team. And then Tyler Myers, like I said, I've been loving it ever since I went to like the bigger builded defenseman. Even the Tyler Myers, I've really enjoyed. I think it helps a lot, especially in a game where everybody backskates and spins circles everywhere. When you get these bigger guys, it is so much easier to knock them off the puck, and it is so much easier to take up ice. You know, you take up space on the ice, they got less places to go, and you can corner them a lot easier with guys like that. I've really enjoyed a guy like Tyler Myers. I think he's, for his price, for his overall, I think he's been an absolute stud. I mean, is he going to get you the offensive? Probably not, but he's got 15 assists for us, for what that's worth. But he's a defensive powerhouse right now. Highly recommend if you're on a, you're on a budget and you can get a guy. Tyler Myers is probably my favorite choice right there for that one. And then on goaltending, we have Engren, who's just there for the, what is it, one-timer? Yeah, so we have the 2 one-timer unlocked. And then Matt Murray, he's been up and down for us. I feel like he plays better than Bishop in some areas, and then some areas not. The areas he does better, and I feel like when I used Bishop, he gave up a lot of turd goals that would bounce off of him and then trickle in. I could see that so often for him. It seemed like he got some weird snipes in on him. I don't see that from Matt Murray as much. I feel like he does a really good job at making saves like that. I feel like he's pretty solid there. But the one pet peeve I have with Matt Murray, over here telling you the weakness is my goalie I use all the time. Great, right now he doesn't go beat me. Is the D-to-D one-timers. Like, yeah, I get it. They could be a crapshoot for a lot of goalies, but it seems like virtually every time Matt Murray sees a D-to-D one-timer, he overcommits to one side of the ice and he just leaves the whole net open. It's just a matter of, do they get that shot on net or not? That is my big pet peeve with him, and it can be hard to defend that one-timer at times, especially with guys that do a lot of everything. So that's my one problem with Matt Murray. Besides that, he's been very solid for us. And then make sure we have the one time. Oh, it's SP. We have Fiddler over there right now. We did pay for that Fiddler, but that's our team. Like I said, I would love to. I love answering questions. I love helping you guys with things at the best I can here, especially in Hut. Get those teams as good as you possibly can. If you guys have questions, I'd love to do a video on it. I really would. If you guys have questions about stuff like that, feel free to send them down below. If we get enough of them, we can try to make a video. Maybe we'll make 2 videos on it. We'd like to help you guys as much as possible. Like to keep the Hut content going as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, a big thumbs up and subscribe. We appreciate it. Never required. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.